How we doing, guys? Good morning. Happy Thursday to everyone. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast, and I'm giving a preview of tonight's Thursday night football game with the Tennessee Titans visiting the Green Bay Packers. Um, Short and sweet. I like Green Bay for the home win. I think what we saw last week in Dallas wasn't necessarily an aberration. In the Dallas game, I think this is a Packers team that's going to play with a legitimate desperation, knowing that they're going to have to not necessarily run the table, but play really well down the stretch to potentially be in a position to snag a final wild card spot. And the reason why I do believe that this is a real thing that could happen is because although Derrick Henry is an elite running back and one of the absolute best currently in the NFL, I do think that if the Green Bay Packers should move the ball well, similar to how they did against Dallas last week, and potentially get up to a couple of scores, maybe like a 10-point lead, a 13-point lead, I believe that Tennessee's offense might have to go in a different direction, whereas Ryan Tannehill can't necessarily carry the team. Do I think Green Bay gets off to a big lead like that? Not necessarily. But I do think that if the Packers can limit the Titans to field goals within the red zone, then they most definitely have an opportunity to win this game. It's going to be cold. There's going to be great support for the home team. And I do also believe that what we saw last week in that Dallas game could potentially be a positive momentum moving forward for the Packers. I think Christian Watson coming off a career game could be an indication that he's going to be a huge part of what they do in the second half. And, the thought of he and Romeo Doubs, the two rookies, playing together once they both are healthy at the same time, that can be something that a lot of teams don't necessarily have. Not every team has an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is still a great quarterback, and I don't think anyone should lose sight of that because this team had such an unexpected losing streak prior to last week against the Dallas Cowboys. It always takes two things to happen whenever a team pulls off an upset, and part of that is the favorite not executing in crunch time. I feel that this is a better matchup for the Green Bay Packers than last week, and oddly enough, the Packers were able to win last week. I'm going to go 24-20, Green Bay winning and having a spirited defensive performance at home. And I also think that Derrick Henry will still get his 85 to 100 yards, and I also think that he will score a touchdown. I'm going 23-20 Green Bay Packers in a close one, and that will definitely keep them in the mix as we go down to the final 8 after this, 7 games down the stretch where the Packers might actually have a chance to do something. Of course, when you think about the final teams that are going to be trying to snag wild card spots, being that there's a distinct possibility that the East sends 3, even 4 teams, and that you have 2 quality teams in the West with the 49ers as well as the Seahawks. Wild cards are actually high-quality teams this year. It's not like the last couple of years where lower-seeded teams in the NFC were just kind of there, and nobody expected any kind of resistance to the teams that were hosting round 1. This year is going to be a lot different. So yeah, win or lose, it's going to be very tough for the Green Bay Packers. As far as the Tennessee Titans go with their immediate trajectory, hard not to like their chances to win that division yet again, because while the Indianapolis Colts had an inspiring win against the Raiders last week, they got off to such a horrid start, and then Jacksonville and Houston are essentially non-factors. Tennessee, they almost pulled a road dub against the Chiefs. Last week, not the prettiest game, but we're able to beat Denver. And I do believe that what could be the Titans' Waterloo in these playoffs is I just find them to be a little too limited on offense. And while you have the great Derrick Henry, I don't necessarily view them as a team that can play from behind or a team that's necessarily going to put teams away when they should. They exhibited that a couple of times this year, and one time that stands out to me is actually week 1 against my New York Giants, and also more recently against the Kansas City Chiefs. But yes, I think the Titans get their fourth loss today. I think it's going to be close, and I think the Green Bay Packers are going to put up a winning streak. They have been bad this year. After that game in London, they just kind of went downhill. But I think Green Bay is going to attempt to make one last stab at this final wild card. And it should be interesting to see how these divisional races go down, and especially when you think about the AFC and NFC East divisions, they're just packed with everybody's tight in these divisions. So we're going to see how all that plays out. Enjoy the game tonight, folks. 23-20, Green Bay Packers.